Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. I guess you can. Alright. Can you hear me now? Okay. I guess you can. Alright. Okay, so excuse me. This is a tutorial on how to properly set up your level assets so that you're not wasting time trying to fidget things and move them into exactly the right place. It's just not the way to go. When you're designing levels, you want to be having fun. You don't want to be frustrated because you're trying to move things around properly. So what you want to do is you want to get a grid system established. Sorry if the microphone's too loud. Get the grid system established so that you can have your assets snap into position, and you want to get a grid system that is compatible between 3D Studio Max and Unreal Engine or Maya or whatever program it is you use. So here in Max you have your snaps up here, your snaps toggle. You right click on that and you go to your options, or your home grid that is, and inside your home grid you have your grid spacing. And I've got this massage thing on that's probably making lots of noise. Turn it off. Okay. Your home grid. So inside of Unreal Engine you go here, this is the equivalent, the snaps, and you push this and you can see that these are the increments that are available inside of Unreal Engine. So these need to be the same as they are in Max. So your grid spacing here needs to be one of these options. If it's not, it's never going to fit. So 50 is a good number. 50 allows me to make walls just the right size for my characters and my dimensions. So you set your grid spacing to 50 in here, you set it to 50 in here. They both, or Unreal Engine runs off of centimeters. That's important to know. So you have to go to your where is it? Customize unit setup. Make sure that you are on metric centimeters. And system unit setup, 1 unit should equal 1 centimeter. And that will make everything nice and compatible between the two programs. This way level designers can grab pieces and snap them together like Legos instead of painfully needing to move them around. And this is great for indoor areas. So we're going to look here at these objects, and if we go to the top view, you can see that if we have snaps on, if you hit S on your keyboard, that's the shortcut for snaps, you can see one other thing we have to set up. You right click on snaps, and you have to make sure that grid points, vertex, face doesn't need to be, but vertex and grid points. So you're telling it to snap the vertexes to the grid points. And so that way if you wanted to modify, you can see that it snaps perfectly to the grid. And if you want to move the object, it snaps to the grid. So now when we export these objects into, you can see it has a little bit of a problem. For some reason in 3ds Max, if it's right up against another object or it has another object overlapping it, it freaks out, doesn't want to snap. So sometimes you gotta fidget with that. And I think I actually messed up the size of this one. Put those back into place. So sometimes you might need to hide the boxes around them. So let's hide all of these. Hide selection. So now when we grab this, it snaps in perfectly. Yeah. So luckily, this little glitch that Max has does not exist inside of Unreal Engine, and inside of Unreal Engine is where we're actually going to be moving the pieces around. So it doesn't really matter. You're just creating your assets inside of Max. I tried to, here was one method. I tried to creating all of these different objects. There's several different meshes here. And I was kind of proud of myself because I thought I was clever, and I thought that you could just take the whole thing and export selected. Let's go to Max and objects, and I saved it as a wall complete. And right here, preserve instances. So I thought that it would actually, because all these walls are instances of, they're all the same object. So if I modify one, the rest will be modified. So I thought that that would convert into Unreal Engine. So if you hit OK, go in here, go into, let's see, levels. Well, here's what it does. If you import that, it'll import every single object, but it doesn't import them as instances. It converts every instance into its own unique mesh, which defeats the whole purpose, because this will lower your performance with every single piece being its own separate entity. You want to actually have all similar items be the same actual mesh. So this theory didn't work out, and all I was really hoping to accomplish was being able to design the level inside of Max first, and then select your entire level and import it into Unreal Engine ready to go. But that didn't work out, so instead what we're going to do is just create the assets in 3ds Max, make sure that they snap into place correctly with our grid system, and then once we have that, we can go into Unreal Engine and create the actual level. And my laptop only has 8 gigabytes of RAM right now, so Max crashes a lot when I'm using Unreal Engine as well. So I need to buy some more RAM soon. But anyway, this is the best way to do it. So now if I grab this wall here and bring it in, and you can see that the pivot point is off. This gizmo is off. That's because when I imported it from 3ds Max, this was part of that structure. So the structure itself was centered, but the individual pieces weren't. So that's another reason why this method kind of stinks. But if I go to the top view, that's the let's get rid of that landscape for a second. And I lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. So here's our wall. and you can see it snap perfectly into place. So now we can grab it, and yeah, pivot point's over here. That's obnoxious. But there you go, snaps perfectly into place. So just make sure, try to get Max to start up here again. Just make sure that your units here in Unreal Engine are set to 50, and well, it doesn't really matter. In 3ds Max you need to make sure that they're set to 50 units, and each unit representing 1 centimeter. And if Max will boot back up, I'll show you that again, or you can rewatch the video later. So once you have this grid down, another method that you can use, it's cool. I'll go ahead and just to show, let's take 2 different pieces and let's rename these. So this will be, well, no, I'm not going to show you that method because it's not necessary anymore. What I was going to do was lay out the entire level in Max, import it in here, and then you can grab individual wall pieces, and if you needed a wall to be a variation of that wall or a destructible wall that has a blueprint associated with it, since you can't set that up in Max, once you bring it in Unreal, you would grab the static mesh in its place, and you can actually select what you want, and it can be anything. So let's go grab a blueprint. I'll show you. Go to Max. Where's just an object? Destructibles. So I can grab this barrel object, just select it here, and then right click on the object selected in the viewport, and you can replace the selected actor with the barrel. And so there it is. That's why it's important to have the pivot point in the right place. So it'll just swap it out. So that method wouldn't have worked anyways. So never mind. But it's good to know that you can take objects. If objects are similar and they have a pivot point in the same location, you can easily, instead of deleting it because you want something else there, you can just swap it out right here. I see a lot of people do that. Very convenient. Alright, what else be helpful if my computer was working? How's it going? Can everybody hear me that's watching this? If anybody has any questions or would like to see anything real quick, I'm gonna kind of running out of things to say at the moment. Come on, computer, this is ridiculous. It's probably this software, recording software. That's what infinity looks like right there. Is it working? Hey, it's working. Did it try to open 2 versions? Oh, I hate you. Alright, so what I was talking about earlier, let me load my level assets here. Yeah, I definitely need more memory. So what I was talking about was when you go to the top view here, you want to go to your snaps toggle, right click, and under your home grid spacing here must match one of these options inside of Unreal Engine. It must be one of these numbers. 50 is a good number, because once you have it inside of Unreal, it will snap to 50, multiples of 50. So 100, 500, the rest of these are going to work. 10 will work, 5 will work, 1 will work. It seems simple, but trying to do level design when things don't just snap into place easily will take forever. And Unreal Engine or 3ds Max just froze again. So I have 2 frozen versions running simultaneously. Isn't that special? Yeah, I need more memory. Alright, well, 11 people watching, and I'm having some computer problems. Alright, I'm just gonna... I apologize. I am not prepared. My computer sucks. This is the first time I've had a laptop. I've always had desktops with really good graphics cards, lots of memory. It's nice to be mobile, to be able to take it around, but I'm going to have to upgrade my memory. This is ridiculous. See, if I try to play this game with the recording software going, forget about it. You guys can go to my channel and check out all the videos on Cats in Black and see what I've been working on. So, I don't know. Anybody have any questions about how Unreal Engine works? Type it in the chat room. If nobody has anything, I'm gonna have to cut this short for now until I upgrade my computer so I can run 2 software programs at the same time while recording. Level design. Yeah, I think I've covered the basics of that. Let me try to open it one more time because I kind of want to show you guys the snake character I'm working on. Once 3ds Max opens up, I'm going to have snakes be kind of like the surprise element. They will like jump up from a pool of water and snap at you. Bigger ones will break through walls. Big snakes, little snakes. Probably the first boss of the first temple will be a giant snake. I guess I could show you what some of the code looks like while we're waiting. High CPU usage detected. You may experience performance issues. No kidding. Here's my, the Cats in Black, their code is all sloppy right now. I cleaned up Max's code the other day. But like, if you ever have thought about getting into creating your own game or doing any kind of coding, I would highly recommend that you download Unreal Engine immediately, because it is free and it is the best software that exists. You can make app games, you can make games for any system, and it's all totally user-friendly. You don't have to type any code. Making the game itself is like playing a video game. If you're a creative person, you are missing out if you're not learning C++ right now. Like, C++ used to be for super geniuses, but now it's for everybody if you just have a little bit of patience. So you have, this is called the blueprint, and you got your graph, And all the stuff here, you got your variables, your functions, and if you don't know what that means, it's just logic. It's like, pretend like the computer is a kid that's trying to, or pretend like the computer's an autistic kid, and you got to tell him everything exactly and literally and hold his hand through every little bit. But he's a super genius at the same time, like a Mozart. So the computer can do incredible things, but it has no idea what to do with its power. And so you, the little monkey on the computer, have to tell it what to do. And it goes, okay, and it tries to do it. And if it can't, it says, error, help me, I don't understand. And then you got to figure out what you did wrong and then correct it. That's the basics of programming. It's not that big a deal. So these red nodes right here, it says event begin play. And the logic goes from left to right. So you have these arrows, and you connect the arrows to the next bit. So it's like a story. Do this, and then do this, and then do this. And so a sequence, just to go over some basic things, you just right click on the graph, and you would type in event begin play, and there it is. And since there's already one there, it'll just zoom into the one. So this is originally broken, so you have just your event begin play node. Click and you'd hook it up, or you'd click it out and let go, and then type in your next thing. So a sequence we have is pretty self-explanatory. Do this. When you're done doing that, do this. When you're done doing that, do that. And you can add as many as you want. So in here, for the cats in black, I say event begin play sequence. So the first thing it does, you follow the line of logic, and it goes over here, and it has these 4 logic clusters, I guess you'd call them. So these are all nodes, and they're different types of nodes. And so what we're doing here is we're setting created variables that are vectors, and vectors are containers of information that contain space, like your location. And so the X, Y, and Z in space, and it remembers where that's at. So I've created these 4 waypoints for the cats in black to walk to, and at the beginning of play you are setting those waypoints. Now you might be wondering, why don't you just set them up? Why do you have to tell it? Why don't you just put them in place and then it starts with them like that? Because if you go to the viewport, you can see these are their waypoints right here. So they're already in 3D space, placed where I want them to be. So why do I need to set them? Well, this probably a bad example to show you if you're a beginner, but this works with something called Blackboard, which is a more advanced system for AI. And it's just like a more customized blueprint system specifically for dealing with artificial intelligence. So what this is doing is it's storing them as the game starts so that it can be dynamically changed. And not just that, but yeah, it's complicated. But anyway, moving on from that, then you got get world location. So it's setting wherever the world location is on these. And that's what I meant by runtime, which means that you can take this character and you can drop its blueprint into your level, and then you can change its instanced individual parameters. Like what I mean is, like this guy here that's in the level. You go over to his properties, or you don't even have to go to his properties. Just drag him down over here. You can see I got all this, his vision circles all turned on. But you go down here, combat 6. If I put him on patrol, then it will show his waypoints. So I can actually grab one of his waypoints. Oh no. It crashed. Okay. I'm gonna have to just keep one program open at a time. I was on a roll there. What the hell? I hate computers. Where'd it go? It's not showing up. I guess. So it's telling me that those programs aren't open. That's great. All right, reopening. That's obnoxious. Luckily, I have a SSD hard drive, so opening the software itself doesn't take too long. Is it actually doing it? Yes. Yeah, this XSplit broadcasting software just is a resource hog. Jeez. Okay, come on. Any second now. Any second. Oh. But I guess I could just kind of talk it through while it's opening. So the reason for that was the individual characters, you can move around their patrol points. So, not really something that you're going to understand just without a visual going along with it. Yep, okay, so I haven't upgraded my RAM yet because it hasn't really been a problem. But now that I'm doing live recording, I realize it is a huge problem. So, more RAM on the way. Until then, you can enjoy this infinity. Wow, it's taking a long time to open. And it's just because this recording software is going to. Stick with me. Don't bail. Oh, here, I'll play some music from our music guy. Let me find it here. Oh, the whole computer is just sluggish. Alright, where is it at? Here's some new tunes from Ascendant. He is a buddy of mine. He works for my dad. My dad owns a furniture store. This guy's one of his sales people. Him and I became friends and started collaborating on Cats in Black. And he's going to be producing some of the music. So, here's one he came up with yesterday. Wow, it says 100% of my CPU is being used, but that doesn't add up. And look at that, the XSplit broadcaster is taking up the most. I guess it is a live stream. I guess it takes up. What is this? Animal wear or anti-wear? What? Get out of here! I don't have. That's not mine. What is this? I got some ridiculous stuff running here. This is another PC game. Okay. I think that one's pretty cool. Alright, so what I was talking about with this blueprint before my computer freaked out on me. Thanks, computer. Thanks a lot. You know I'm live streaming, right? Alright, so you go to click on him and put his combat status to patrol, and then it shows his patrol points. So you can actually should be able to click on them. I guess I have to go into here, waypoint. There it is. So I can move it. As you can see. So this is a component contained within the blueprint of the AI character, the cat in black. But here in the viewport, I can move where his waypoint is going to be, and it's going to be completely unique to this one cat in black. It's not changing all of theirs. And the point of that, I was going to demonstrate inside the actual blueprint. Alright, so event begin play. The reason why we are setting the location of these vectors in real time right at the beginning of gameplay is so that it can find where you move the waypoints to. Because it doesn't know. They are set somewhere, but the billboard, which is part of the blackboard, or the blackboard is referencing these billboards. So you need to tell these variables, these billboard variables, you have to get the world location of where you set them to on each individual one, get its location, and then store it inside of this billboard variable. And a billboard is created by going to add component and typing in billboard. And a billboard is just a marker. It's just a look. So you take it and you drag it on, and there's your variable. And the only options you have over here is a sprite to identify it, and the size of that sprite, and tags and rendering options, and that's it. It's simply a marker that you can reference inside of your blackboard. Now blackboard, we go into the cats in black and blueprints, and actually we got to go to AI, and here's a behavior tree, and you can see they're both connected. A blackboard is just the variables, and as you can see, here's the waypoints right here. So our behavioral tree looks like a tree, and it's just telling the cats in black, is your combat status set to guard? If it is, just wait. And this is a sequence, so it'll just keep doing this, so it'll just stay there infinitely. And then if their combat status is set to patrol, then we will set the waypoints, which means here's a totally different blueprint that's set up just for the behavior tree, and it's doing kind of the same thing. It's taking Blackboard key. It's just getting really complicated now, so this is something you have to really work up to. Let me just jump back to here. Alright, so at the beginning of gameplay we do the first one, and then the sequence we do the second one. So let's follow that line, and we are setting a render custom depth, and that basically is just making it so that that's too complicated too. Let's see. Any questions, anybody specifically about blueprints and Unreal Engine? Anybody? I'll just go over the variables, I guess. If anybody's interested in being a level designer, Cats in Black is looking for level designers. So far we've just been implementing the features, basic features, getting functionality. But I'm gonna start designing dungeons and creating a world map. So if anybody is like a hardcore gamer and you think you have skills and you know what makes a game fun, basically I'm going to be creating all the assets, and I'll need several level designers to use the method I showed earlier. I'll have all the assets on a grid, snap a bolt. It'll be like putting Legos together, and the level designers just need to worry about being creative, making good use of their space, and we'll have a bunch of different mechanics that go into levels. It'll be a cross between a platform game like Mario and an RPG-ish kind of exploration game like a Metroid. So it'll be kind of a hybrid between a Metroid and a Mario, because you can switch into first-person mode and fire, or switch back to third-person mode and run around and jump and all that stuff. So I'll just go over variables. If you go to create a variable, because variables are the most important part about programming. If you've ever heard anything or know anything about programming, you probably heard of variables. So we create a new variable, and then you would just name it whatever you want. My variable. And then variable type. Here's all the types we got. So a Boolean is a true or false check. You're just telling the computer, or the computer's asking you a condition. Is it this or is it this? And if it's that, do this. If it's this, do that. Alright, so you would hold down in here to make use of a Boolean variable. You hold down B and click, and that'll give you what's called a branch. They should have included a Boolean like thing in here so people don't get confused. But you see, you drag your variable in here, and you can either get it or set it, which means you want to get its current information, or you want to change its information to something else. So you could get it, and then if you plug it into the condition, then you see your logic goes from left to right. So this would be somewhere in your logic. You'd already have something over here feeding into here, like event tick or event begin play, and it would come into here and it would ask, is this variable true? Now when you create a variable, it starts out as false by default. After you compile, it's false. And so if you fed something into here and it checked this, it's going to read false, and then it's going to play out whatever you plug false into, and not do anything with true. But if it's true, then the opposite happens. So that's how you you contain your logic, and you contain the flow of information that the computer, because the computer, like I said, is like an autistic kid who's a prodigy, like brilliant, but you gotta get him going, get him on his way, and show him what he's supposed to do. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. Okay, so that's the Boolean. Then we have bytes. That one is kind of a rare variable, so I'm going to skip that for now. Integers and floats. Now, if you already know the difference between an integer and a float, good for you, because I didn't. Integers, obviously, is a number, but then you're like, what's a float? Like, when you start doing programming, you'll notice there's terms that you understand that you've seen in math before, but then there's terms specifically for programming that you're like, what? So float is a number and an integer is a number. The difference is that an integer is a whole number and a float is a number that can have a decimal. That's it. So if I were to create a new variable, or let's just drag one in here, like your max health, get that, and you see I click on it and I've got the default value. Max health is set to 50, but it's 50.0, whereas if I take this random strafe variable and get that, you can see it's just 0. And if I try to set it to like 10.5, it won't have that. It won't have none of that. It goes back to a whole number. Alright, and then we have a name variable, which just creates a name, like it holds text. String, well, let's show you the difference. Let's see, let's create another variable. Let's make it a name. Alright, so I need to compile. This might take a minute since my computer's being slow right now. Hello. Okay, still compiling. There it goes. So now you see default value is none. It's a name, so you just type in whatever you want. David. And so it stores names, actual letters, not just numbers. Now if we create another variable and a string is also, I gotta compile every time and it's taking years to compile, so I'm just gonna go a little faster. Name, string, text, those are all pretty much the same. They're just they interface differently with other things, so they do have slight differences. Like if you hold Control and Alt, name is a piece of text used to identify something within the game. Comparing two names is much faster than comparing two strings. So you can check to see if something has exactly the same name as something else. String is a piece of text. Hey. And text is a variable that's used for localized text. You should use this if this text will ever be shown to the user, so it can be translated to different languages. Okay. Interesting. Whatever. Alright, so a vector. I went over that earlier. Vectors hold 3D space values, like where X, Y, and Z would be. Like when you ask, it also holds rotational values. You can ask get forward vector, and that will find out the forward direction that your character is looking. And then you use math if you need to get like what's what's 45 degrees to his left or whatever. You need something to happen over there. Well, first you get his forward vector, and then you have a reference point to find out what that is. So vectors are about just points in space, 3D space. And then the rotator is just the rotator, rotation. So the vector is the point in space, rotation is where it's rotated. And then a transform contains the location, rotation, and the scale. So it contains all three of those. And then we have advanced variables. They have like a variable for every single object type inside the engine, which is just crazy. Very powerful, lots of stuff you can do. Alright, so see if I can find it a little more simplified. Here's a really cool thing. You can actually set custom time dilation. So you do time dial. This is time. Oh, set global. That's what it is. Set global time dilation. So if you ever wanted to pause your game, you just use this and everything will freeze in place. And you can make certain characters exempt, so you could like pause everything but still move around. Or you can do 0.5 and make time move half as fast, and it looks really cool. I use the time feature a lot in Cats in Black. Max has a time shield, and if you go to my channel, you can see the time shield at work. Let's see. Time shield ability. This is the video where I first off the time shield. So you can. So here I'll get their attention, and then so all their, you can set exactly which items or which objects the time affects. And so in this one, when I put up my time shield, I made it so their shots, their lasers are slowed down, and then they are also slowed down. Okay, and like I was talking about Booleans, I'm setting this Boolean here. It's just checking to see, or it's setting, it's saying if, what's it saying? I'm inside the Cats in Black blueprint right now. So it's saying if the Cat in Black, if his time shield detection, which is a component, time shield detection, go to the viewport, and that is this little tiny circle here. I made it like that so it doesn't overlap, because before they'd be able to walk right through another time shield because it would just overlap when this was bigger. So if you make it smaller, it actually forces it to go outside of one before it goes inside of another one. So when it overlaps with the time shield, then you cast to the actual time shield blueprint, and see, I don't understand why. That's strange. Oh no, it's not. I'm thinking of like usually when you cast to something, you'd want to drag out of here and actually take information from that blueprint to do something, but in this case I'm just going directly to further logic here. It's just saying if another actor overlaps the time shield detection, and if that other actor happens to be this, see how it's other actor plugged into the object, the shield, then keep going. So it'll only do this if this shield overlaps. Then it comes down here and it sets the custom time dilation. Like when I said or showed you the global, that changes everything, but custom time dilation will only change the speed of this blueprint, which is the Cat in Black character. So he gets cut down to a third speed, and then I set a variable, custom variable I made is overlapping time shield, and then check that to yes, because he's overlapping the time shield. And now on component end overlap, so that means when he's no longer overlapping, cast to the time shield, set it back to 1, and then set the variable to no. And you need to know this information for other things later. In order for an event to fire, it'll check, is he overlapping the time shield or not? Like when you shoot the Cats in Black and they're inside the time shield, there's a 50-50 chance they will teleport outside of it. And so you need to check first, because they only teleport if you shoot them inside the time shield. Outside the time shield, you shoot them, they don't teleport. So you got to check every time they get shot, do a check with a branch to see if they're inside the time shield. And this is how the computer knows, because you set it right here. And then here's all the code to face the direction of the player. And you can just see you got your these red nodes are basically the activation, the spark that's telling it to move forward. Event tick means like every microsecond, just constantly check this. So it's constantly doing these three things. And so you'll notice when you have an event tick, you're going to see a lot of branches, because what it's normally doing with an event tick is it's doing nothing. It's just checking constantly. It's checking these branches. And if a branch is ever true, then it will fire off and do more, but not unless you tell it to. You can see there's another branch, and this one has conditions if it's doing this or it's doing this. So either one of those will meet that condition and it can move forward. And then this one here is the only one that doesn't have a branch, and it's actually doing something constantly, and that is to set the player direction and then set world rotation. So this is what makes the Cats in Black, this is the code that makes them look in the direction of the player. So you're getting the world rotation and the actor location of your character. Find look at rotation. The start would be the scene, and that's a component, scene component, and right here, scene component is basically something that you can put inside your character that will be independent of your character's rotation. It's constantly facing the camera for the player, so you can get that world location as a starting point, and then find look at rotation, and then that will look in the direction of the character. But you only want them to look as far as the yaw is concerned, and the yaw is left to right. You don't want them looking up and down. You don't want him turning his head or whatever. So that's that basically. So just going over some basic stuff. And of course, you know, you got event begin play, you got event tick, But really what it comes down to is you can go custom event. So you create a lot of custom events, and these are basically just little like equations and algorithms of logic where you just make it as like a package deal, and it's not actually doing anything. It's just contained within this custom event. And then in order to fire that off, you would somewhere else, when you're doing in the middle of another bit of code, you would say custom event 0. That's the name it gave it automatically. You would give it probably a more unique name than that, and then you're given this. So these are two different things. You can see that the red custom event, this one is the initiator. It only has one way the logic can go. It has to start here. Since there's no arrow on the left feeding in, it means that's the start. This is an in-between. This is calling to run the custom event. So this would be circular logic. You're like, run this. Okay. Oh, run it again. Oh my goodness. So what you would, an example of this would be like a custom event says print string, and you'd have it say hello. So whenever this custom event is activated, you'll see hello printed on the screen. So then if you go up here and you say F, as in keyboard key F, whenever you press F, fire that custom event. So now you can just have that nice and tidy that says when you push F, do that. And then you come down here and it will do that, and then it will print hello. Now you might say, why don't you just make it so that F prints the string? Well, in coding a custom event, you make that because, well, there's lots of reasons, but one reason off the top of my head would be that you want to use it for multiple purposes. So yeah, F might trigger it, but also running over a trap might trigger it, or talking to a character might trigger it. So you would have this code, and then you can reference that code at any time. Okay. I think I'm going to call it a day. I'll have a more planned out agenda next time, something to do specifically. I kind of just went over some level design workflow stuff and just showing for people who have never used this program, this is what programming looks like. You no longer have to type a bunch of exact syntax. You can now just take these cool little nodes that are all colorful, and they have, you know, little things that explain exactly what they do, and you just follow the logic in a very visual manner, and you really do feel kind of like a god when you start getting good at this. Creating things is the best. If you're ever depressed or you just don't know what to do with your life, start programming. Learn to program. You have the tools now. Unreal Engine, it's free. Go download it. UnrealEngine.com. You can make anything. Virtual reality is coming out soon. This is totally set up for that. You can already, they have it available now. You can buy a virtual reality headset like Oculus Rift, and you can make games inside of virtual reality. So you can pick up the objects and move them where you want inside virtual reality using this program. And this is what the programming looks like. It's not that intimidating once you learn what the colors mean, once you learn how the logic flows. So if anybody is interested in being a level designer or working on Cats in Black, and you think you've got skills, you want to contribute, Check out the videos, of course, on our YouTube channel. If you're interested, send me a private message, and if I get some serious people that want to help, I will revisit doing a more elaborate tutorial series on the game's pipeline so we can get started. Right now, I'm still in the middle of creating level assets, but things are coming together. We've got investors on the game, and we are developing a marketing strategy. I want to get a 3D printer too so we can print out action figures. We'll have t-shirts and posters and all that stuff. Alright, well, I've got some questions here. How can I use the physical animation component for hit detection? Wow, that's a complicated question. I can point you to a tutorial that will explain it better than I can right now. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Let's see. Video. Physical animation component. Okay, so I'll copy and paste this into, I think this is the one. Yeah, this is it. So this guy goes over stupid advertisements. I'll just show you real quick the effect and see if that's what you're looking for. Right there, you can see he's, yep. Back that up. What's it doing? So yeah, he's like that. So it's an hour-long tutorial here. That's why I can't really jump into that right now. I have messed with it a little bit. Yeah, let me copy and paste this in for you. If you got some time, watch that, and you should learn everything you need to know about that. Hello, PPLE Sim. Is there anything specific you guys would like to know before I wrap this up? Yeah, unfortunately, I can't show too much right now because my computer is really slow with this XSplitter running. I need to get some more memory for my next tutorial. It's just running way too slow. But yeah, go to go to my YouTube channel, Cats in Black. That's what you should be able to find it. No. See, that's annoying. My channel's called Cats in Black, and it doesn't even come up when someone tries to search for it. And the #1 search isn't even Cats in Black, it's just black cats. Come on. I gotta contact them. It's still under, see, Cats in Black right there. It's still under the search is still searching for the old name. You can also just go to catsinblack.com and you can watch the promo video here. It's all original music from in-house. Really cool guy makes our music. Alright, so you just go here and click on one of the other videos. It'll just take you right to the channel. Hey everybody, it's David Breen. Hey, look at that. Level design in 3ds Max and Unreal Engine 4 live now. No, really? So yeah, you can just, I'll show you all the videos we got. You go to playlists, actually. Whoops, that's not playlists. And here we have Cats in Black development features. And it goes back to, whoa. Here's the first one. That was December 30th, so right at the beginning of the year is when I started developing. Yeah, this is what I had at first.
Bought a X.
Okay. So yeah, Unreal Engine is the best thing ever. Let's see if I can lower all the settings and maybe it'll play the game. Probably having it on Epic isn't going to help anything. Wow. Now it kind of plays. Wow, that looks terrible. I'll just show you the difference. Go back up to Epic. Play that. Yeah, the only reason this frame rate is so terrible is because I'm recording and my computer only has 8 gigs of RAM. Hey, you kicked it out of the way. They keep kicking it out of the way. How dare he? I gotta stop. That frame rate is making me want to vomit. Alright guys, I'm gonna buy some RAM for my computer, and then, because I would love to be able to actually play test the game while I'm streaming, so I could show you guys stuff and not have it take forever. So I'm going to buy some more RAM for this computer and see if that helps, and I will schedule the next event where I'll probably be going over level design, I guess. Whatever. Okay. I'll see you all, unless there's, if anybody has like a quick, simple question they'd like to know about the video game industry or Unreal Engine and what we're working on or how you can be involved or anything about 3D graphics going once, going twice. All right. You all have a great day. Thanks for the likes. Take care now.